Hello again, and well, September once again upon me, and I'm once again behind on projects I wanted to do a year ago, if not longer. So I'm declaring this month Catch-Up Month. To start us off, let's time to once again take a look at one of the main episodes of Pokemon. This time, involving on a topic tends to be about the touchy, particularly the media. Let's open up with Legend of Dratini and find out why. Open the Japanese theme of the Kanto series, Enemy Pokemon Master. Expect my predilection Pokemon theme was eventually done into. It is a really good tune. I particularly like this shot as one of the last ones in this opening and the first ones in the dub. Pale lyrics are an indication of what Ash wants. This franchise is a very diverse assortment of trainers. I realized a long time ago this has always been and more interested in the journey in that destination. I can say that anything worth doing takes time, so make your own assumptions. And we open proper in Safari Zone, we get some particularly good shots of Stampede Tauros. I'm more determined with the hassle finding 8 gems I need as well as one changes within the time limit. For that reason I did that first and later playthroughs. Also, there's a need arena and need arena embracing. These two don't let a breeding glitch spoil their love. Let's do Ash's Delight as well as mine. He wants to reach the Safari Zone. He bursts in song and springs very 90s kicks. Just so you know, I'm working on a separate version of my fan group KMS. The one we're going to answer first in code in 2005. If you have been following me for this long, you indeed will aid him with it in Japan. His name's Satoshi. The info series co-creator Satoshi Ujiri. Works named Takeshi. Possibly eventually head writer Takashi Shudo, who handled the original series before its retirement and death in 2010. And MSC's name consumed by the common name for young girls in Japan, featuring Translating Flower. The group decided to use the romanization for the dub, so I should follow suit. Ash continues his rapturous scene, much to Brock's dismay. After his team to join in, Brock gives him for one off his own canon assessment. When Ash objects, we get a primary reason why his episodes never officially aired in the US, most likely never will. Realistic looking handgun way in favor by the Warden, and the Warden named Kaiser introduced himself. We get our title card. I always like the series title cards, tend to be as interesting thing to look at as the episodes themselves. About 3.5 minutes in, you have yet another reason why I got back into Pokemon as a teenager, because very bluntly explains all Safari Balls on Safari Zone, try to break the rules in his Thunderbolt when we more than happy to blow their heads off. Which then notices his old photograph of Kaiser with Dratini and how Kaiser in the title, which is all Japanese name Legend of Miniryu. Kaiser then cocks Evolver again, and everyone sheepishly agrees to keep quiet about the Dratini, hope nobody tries to go over the line. Then he walks down outside of actually knew Dratini well, and a particularly sad bit of foreshadowing. When decides he needs to call Professor Oak, apparently Kaisen's an old friend of his. All serious surprising impression about radio phones in form of cell phones from basic cameras compares with voice over internet protocol services such as Skype. Which informs Dratini was down Safari Zone once a bustling destination. Fierce matters of being to catch Pokemon reduced the ear to a shell of its former beauty. And only survivable halls were remained that day forward as a result. It's actually surprisingly insightful look at something that many would think about the franchise, least of all the target audience of young children. Unlike Double Dilemma or Love Pedigree style, it's a way handled that's written thoughtful and something adults can appreciate alike. As Rodini has not been seen since, and Professor Oak lets Ash catch more Pokemon. Oh yes, Safari Zone is a boom of filling the blanks with Pokedex. And Greens takes to create Fireballs on this game. And Team Up of course is spying on them. These books are far better stalkers than Unokasai could have hoped to be. Given it helps Justin James have a much healthier relationship with extends that troll up in that tweet that I still have no idea what she sees in. They make an effort to lay Kai into the entire Safari Zone. They stay them all on top of the front gate, but Kaiser has other ideas. He whips out his guns and starts firing at their future dance, doing his best emulation of Buford Mad Dog Tannen. With like 7 minutes in, Kaiser makes everything clear that like any peacekeeper, he's armed to teeth just such an occasion, which one has episode got banned later. Chimoka then tries to parachute down, but in the original Hollywood skydiving, they fall flat on their faces. When this awkward in the mixed light situation, and while Chimoka tries to get out of the parachute, it might feel like an early version of what's going on Best Wish in the XY series, which Ash, Pikachu, and others just play along when they come up with more schemes together in the Acme Corporation. Chimoka then proposes a deal. To capture most Pokemon, they will leave the twerps alone. If they do, however, Ash makes Pokemon schedules up. We use the concept later. I do like the idea of battling for pain slips. And naturally, Ash agrees, much like the all-loving hero that he is. The game starts moving with 2 tours in the bag. So the advantage the episode has, as it explains where tours from the system came from. Just try and think of one challenging that as a kid without any knowledge of this episode. Next, Rhyhorn was who I am pleased when Pokemon come out as a steed in X and Y. It's providing support of Rhyhorn racing. It's good to hope it gets tours instead. Of course, you see a trio of Team Rockets and Glass make a resurgence as of late. Some of their more malevolent attempts to get Pokemon. And they start interrogating Kaiser and Mather, please Steve Haynes immensely. With this scene, which should not be out of place in Yakuza Crime Draw, Green as we come back on commercial break, we get even more resort to make it past the practices. Even in 1999, this would be a tall order. Kaiser tries to resist, but Jesse has over-restrained him. In the comments, he gets excited with an old man. This day, Meowth tends to be made the prime source the various high blue material, but wow, Meowth is some real sick stuff. And Jesse actually hits on information on Dratini. Maybe it creates more reason not to make something like that up. Even more so, Kaiser likes it. Then we get the return of that gaudy outfit from battle with St. Anne. Ultimately, Kaiser does not give in. Then James and Meowth are just interrogating Kaiser. Police setting it all. Regarding hurting Meowth's mustache, save it. Personally weirded out by the fact that it looks like nose hair. Meowth offers him a bowl of Katsudan, roasted pork and rice. This is what would have got me a toxin is quite tasty. Plus, according to my associate Ogalasu, it's a rather common trope in Japanese prize dramas. This should have this episode in heavy rotation, and did read his recap quite extensively. Recommend you go check it out if you haven't already, as well as his website. Yet this plan fails and decided to use a machine in this episode, which they may have mistaken as Paul notes. Yep, that sounds about right. Despite the list of anticipated games this fall, I was all capable of a few titles not to also have money doing loan payments. This tickle device, much like one that gets the Rocket Raccoon will come up with. This finally breaks Kaiser with interrogation techniques will not be out of place on the kiln. Turns out the episode is also the introduction of custom Pokemon loans to one the Misty Special. Earliest I remember seeing is one of your JoJo episode 2 Duel, and we will get to that. So please Ash, Misty give it to Ash later. Plus, even if they don't see us all the time, they will always enjoy the time they spend together. Of course, Kaiser steps up asking for the kids' help. After he is free with the machine, he does reveal that Dratini is in Dragon Valley. Cut the Dragon Valley, which is a very nice looking environment. All I might say is its world building took me off in dark episodes and adaptations not taking advantage of the scenes at their disposal. I consider it's quite a step up for the black and white mazes, or model from Kirby on the Game Boy Color at the time. James being out there underwater, and Jesse surveying the area on land. Then Dratini appears as if from a dream. She's all the Tangleless Red Pokemon. Twitch Dratini over, under which standing on the auction hose her comrades' diving outfits. Let's jump out of the water and spook Dratini. This motivates Meowth, and James for failure. This has been a common theme in Team Rocket's Transception. One of the most notable ways they've done this with their own ambition. They do, however, have one more trick up their sleeve. Underwater bombs simply blast Dratini and the other Pokemon. Ash, Misty, Brock, and Kaiser confront Team Rocket, fierce never intended on an agreement. But to later the man chooses all his volleyballs, sadly does not appear to be a time limit like in the games. Ash then decides to help stop the bomb, and also look at how just a quality about him and other trainers that I admire, to remove this from the equation if needed. But I find trainers that lack the quality, high level potential for them as characters. He collects the bomb and tries to bring it back to surface before it explodes. Kaiser and surface informs everyone Ash is after the bomb. Even so, Ash loses consciousness, making many times almost drowned. With the move, we think he's come close to death enough times to become a Time Lord. Then a massive thunderstorm occurs, as if Zeus is summoning his gladiators. Then Dragon arrives from the lake, as a guardian for the entire forest of those who inhabit it. Decides to return the bomb Team Rocket, explodes and sends him over the rainbow. As Kaiser and Dragon reunite, this episode is something I mind about all my favorite ones. I'm disappointed in this episode that were aired officially in the US. A genuine human emotion. Then it turns out teens to Child Dragonair. It's at that moment where saw this for the first time at age 16. It's okay to admire something like this for what it is. It's sunset, everyone wishes they could see more Pokemon like this. Since Hall first of all because everyone heads off. Then close everyone heading out towards Setting Sun. And to Pokemon Anime, hey Ruby and Alpha Sapphire looking ahead towards tomorrow. So now I must address the most obvious reason why this episode never aired in English. Most likely never will in my lifetime. Like in Japan, where Yanks to me like hater and firearms and media like for children. But since what the line between what's acceptable and what isn't is so thin by the FCC. When someone being held in arms ain't the way, hey, generally isn't a problem, as on a previous episode. Point blank at a 10-year-old's range ahead 10-year-old's kid. His head? No, obviously not. Regular doesn't give you pass, but fighting off live ammunition? That's big time. It's such also a reason for the invisible guns in Yu-Gi-Oh! Stanley mocked with the Kuribo. It's all the reason why the Guns Line Sonic X over in the States by the fact Sonic Adventure 2, who was rated E at the time, because we bumped to E10 with PlayStation Network and our Xbox Live re-release. It's been for another day, and let's just say about the infamous Showerhead stick in one piece the better. Just say I was ecstatic to see the flintlock in the uncut version. Let's also point out that it's not an issue unique to anime. At the time, the Batman Beyond Me had to have key scenes edited because the Joker's used the guns in one of his crime sprees. And as to point out, the edits made the guns might be where the Batman reviews. In this case, however, the edits cannot be made in this content without severely butchering the plot of this episode, which is a shame because it's a key standout in beautiful animation, meaningful story to help make it back into the franchise. Be that as it may, hey, I strongly recommend checking out subtitles in this episode. If you want to Google or YouTube search for Pokémon Legend of Miniryu, you can find this copy used to write this episode similar ones. I'll be looking at Electric Soldier Porygon to close out the original trilogy band episodes, but me sometimes I can find a satire copy in workable format. In the meantime, and there's some projects I want to do. See you, Space Cowboy.